There has been some interesting updates according to the New Day and their storyline. So, for those of you who haven't been paying attention on Monday Night Raw, the New Day kind of had a celebration, and it looked like it was not what I was expecting. What happened, which I thought was great, because now I'm kind of curious to see where it's going, but for those of you who have not been looking or watching, so they had a celebration to celebrate 10 years as a tag team group together. And basically, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods for quite a while, they've basically been kind of at odds with each other, getting upset, not being where they want to be in terms of their career, winning streaks and all that. And they had a really good backstage segment with each other, just arguing with each other. That felt pretty raw, if I gotta say. I feel like there's some kind of truth to what they were saying. Sorry, coughing. And they had this celebration this past 2 weeks. And they were basically, having the celebration, and then Big E comes out. And Big E, it's not like he's been completely off screen. He's been at the announcer booth basically before every pay-per-view. He's the guy who, talks about the matches with the rest of the crew, hypes them up. And he becomes, and for those of you who don't know, he broke his neck in 2022. I think it was like right before WrestleMania. And, he was basically off TV, and New Day continued despite his neck being broken. And the segment basically went from like Kofi and Xavier Woods hitting each other to basically kind of like ganging up on Big E and then just telling him how much of a POS he is. And was it Kofi or Xavier Woods who was like, "Oh yeah, you broke your neck, so what?"
Jesus. Yeah, I missed that one, but that's crazy.
Yeah, you got to catch that replay because that was really good. Because I'm really curious to see where this is going, and this is I really feel it in my bones that this is going to be like a super hot feud story going into 2025. Like I could feel it being at the top because honestly, if we're being like honest, like New Day has been kind of floundering. They've just been kind of like floating without a real purpose. There was some kind of attempt of a story and build up, and I think this might still tie back to the Karrion Kross Final Testament group, and maybe that's what he'll explain, like, oh, that's why they turned heel or whatever.
TikTok.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting, but so there was a article. Basically, Kofi Kingston talking about how he doesn't care, what fans remember, but he feels like they are the greatest tag team of all time. So he said basically he had an interview with Baby Huey on In the Click podcast where he stated that they would continue to add accolades to the legacies until they don't want to do it anymore, and that won't be anytime soon. And this is Kofi's quote. So, "We are the greatest tag team to ever do this. Sometimes you're supposed to be humble and dance around it, but if you look at our accolades, man, we just had this shirt come out for the 10-year anniversary. It had not even all of our accolades, but we filled the back of the shirt with the accolades that we have achieved. All the members of the group and all that we have done and titles that we've won and crowns that we won, it's unmatched. Being able to host WrestleMania, being able to go toe-to-toe with The Rock on the mic, and hold our own. Not many people in the world can do that. Not many people can say that they've done that. I could go on and on. 12, 13-time tag team champions. That in and of itself, and the longest reigning tag team champs at one point. If I'm being honest, I don't really care about what the fans remember about it because I already know. I already know what we are. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you can't argue with the facts. And when it's all said and done, New Day is going to go down as the greatest tag team of all time. So for us right now, we're just trying to add on to that legacy. We're never full. We always stay hungry, and we keep on piling these accolades on until we decide that we don't want to do it anymore, which won't be anytime soon. So I guess I want to kind of open up the floor to this. What do you guys? Where do you guys see New Day like as a group? Do you feel like that is a fair assessment of them as a group as being the greatest of all time, or do you think maybe they're one of the greatest? Chris, what do you think? If you had to put them somewhere in your like list of rankings, or even just give us a general assessment of where you feel like the group of the New Day fits, in all the tag teams that you've ever seen.
I mean, if I had to, if there was a top 50 list, I think they would be in the top 25. I think, because there's just so many damn tag teams that would most likely be in front of them. I think from like the modern era of wrestling, and more specifically on the tag team side. I mean, you got FTR, you got the Bucks, you got all these other tag teams. I feel that are more tag team like, because New Day was more of a faction rather than like they're just a tag team as far as like how they were billed. So, yeah, Biggie had his accident and then it was just them two. So then, they were a tag team, but I wouldn't put them in that conversation as far as like greatest of all time personally. They're definitely good. They're entertaining. They got good singles talent. Like Kofi was a champion. So, I would, but as far as tag teams are concerned, I would say they're definitely not in the greatest of all time conversation.
I think that's a hot take. David, what do you think?
Top 10 tag team.
Damn.
I agree.
Nah.
What
What are your reasons?
I agree with the faction thing. But so if the Usos are a top 10 tag team, the New Day have to be. Just because a lot of their programs were against each other. Uh, uh they kept the tag team division together for a long time. Like, that post attitude era to now tag teams kind of NXT had great tag teams, and then like outside of WWE there are a lot of great tag teams, but just to be able to hold it down for WWE.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I guess maybe because the era that they were kind of tag teams in, I don't think that there were that many. Like they looked like a group, and during that era, a lot of it felt like groups that were just kind of like bunched together for a little bit, and then they went their separate ways, and not many were like true tag teams. Like I felt like Sheamus was being, put in different tag teams or stables like for the past like 5 or 6 years when he was during that era.
Shout out to the Bar though. I think that was a good tag team with Cesaro.
You thought the Bar was a good tag team? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I mean,
The
as
Bar-
far
They beat the New Day.
the Bar.
That's true. That's true. And that was like one of their one of their great matches. But I mean, the Bar, like, do you think anyone would remember if you said the Bar? Do you feel like that, like if you said the New Day, like the Bar?
Well, if we're talking of the era, you know what I mean? Because let's say Cesaro or Claudio Castagnoli was still in WWE. I mean, they might have been able to continue to move that specific tag team thing. I think them being put together, at least they made some level of effort to make them look like they were a tag team. So yeah, shout out to the Bar.
David,
the Bar,
David.
the liquor
Andres,
bar.
Andres, do you have any thoughts on them? And where would
pretty
you
much
put them?
I definitely put them in top 10 because, like you said, that same era of wrestling, like you guys are saying, like, the tag team division was being kind of carried by them and the Usos. And I mean, if you look at it too, like they're like the only thing still, like the Usos, still kind of going as a team.
Are we
despite
talking
the
all
whole
time
thing
though?
with
We're talking greatest of all time tag team champions.
Oh yeah.
If I actually had to sit
I'm about to
down
make
and,
a
like,
list, right?
yeah, we could do that. Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I'm sure. Like, I would agree to top 10, but like, I feel like if I started to sit down and actually start to look at all the tag teams in front of me, They might be inching maybe just outside of the top 10. They might.
So
But
I don't see a
well, off the
ruthless
top of my head, I
aggression tag team better than them.
Uh,
I don't see a ruthless aggression tag team better than them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not the Outlaws.
Mexicool? Nah.
The Outlaws.
The Outlaws are Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Technically.
We're talking like
Paul London and what was the other guy's name?
Fired. No, Brian Kendrick.
Brian
Brian
Kendrick.
Kendrick. Yeah, them. She put.
No, they're not better than the New Day. Are you kidding me? The New Day have been around for a decade. Like, and again, like, let me say this: if you feel like you need to look these people up because you don't remember them, then I would not put them in the top 10 greatest tag. If you have to go and like, oh wait, let me double check, like, then obviously it hasn't left an impression on you.
If we're talking of all time, I mean that means you can easily go into the 80s and pick out like 5 tag teams already, and go into the 90s.
Think about it. Think about this way,
better
like
than the Rockers.
Yeah.
We only like the Rockers because of Shawn Michaels.
Right, and you only associate the Rockers because he threw his partner through a fucking barbershop window. Like that.
Thanks for the segue, bub. Bam.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with them as a tag team. Like that looked like a footnote on Shawn Michaels' career.
Rock and Sock Connection.
But again, it's like they were friends, and that's not a real tag team. You know, like they were
DX.
a good duo.
You won the belt though.
The Hardys.
The Hardys are in there, but we're talking about top 10, so Hardys would be in the top.
Are we exclusively only talking about WWE or any company of all time?
I'd say for the relevance, just make it WWE.
Well, is that what we mean? Is that the context?
I was thinking all time, so
okay.
I guess you could include.
Then you can easily make that. You could put Motor City Machine Guns. You could put the Briscoes.
Dudley Boys,
Hardys, Dudley Boys, freaking.
All right, you're rounding out a top 10.
Hey man,
put hold on.
Yeah, let me look that shit up. I think you just got down like what, 5 or 6.
Yeah, I'll write them down right now. Keep talking.
Let me get
Edge and Christian.
You look like a motherfucking nut.
Yeah, Edge and Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean they all deserve to be in the top 10, but I think like you listed them all up, that might also round out to like a top 10.
I personally don't think they don't crack the top 10. They might be top 12 or 13 or something like that.
They're like if you didn't include the Dudley Boys, like.
But you have to.
Well, I'm saying if you didn't include the Dudley Boys 6 like ECW tag team championships, like the New Day is the most decorated WWE tag team of all time. I feel like that. Yeah,
that's
that crazy. That in and of itself, they've won it like 16 times or whatever it was.
Damn.
But that's still WWE because again, we're talking like across the board. I mean, I don't know. We'd have to see.
Sure, but that's like the biggest game in town.
Next podcast.
Let's do New Japan. Let's do a New Japan tour of New Day.
Right.
Let them win in New Japan a couple times.
But like even if you can say like they're the most decorated in this specific promotion of all time, they have to be at least like top 10 or 12. If they're the most decorated tag team in their entire history.
I won't grant them the rank of master.
And you know what? I will say like even like beyond that, like for myself, like I will say like decorated. Kofi obviously won the belt. Big E won the belt. Xavier Woods, King of the Ring. King of the Ring. I was gonna say someone made fun of his. Someone said Burger King crown. Oh man, they're like. I'm sure that's why he's probably upset because he never won the title belt. Like they gave them 2 championship belts, but then they're like, here's the King of the Ring, which like at the time didn't even give you like an opportunity for the belt, right? Like you just got the crown.
Here's a hot take. A
goofy ass cape.
You ready? Xavier Woods wins the Royal Rumble. Boom.
Good. I hope so. That'd be fucking sick. Or you know what? Big E wins the Royal Rumble. Let's go.
Is he cleared?
I mean, as of this recording, there's going to be a segment again, so we'll see. I feel like it might lead to a clearing, But like, because he was in the segment, or in the segment that got them like upset also, because he was like, "Oh, hey, I'm back, and I could be your manager." And they were upset. And I guess to their point, it's a little fair because they've been having this entire like issue amongst each other for a while, for a couple of months. And Big E is still in the company. He's behind a desk, like talking about the shows, but he never goes like gives them a pep talk, goes out to interrupt or anything. But he's still within the WWE sphere having a job. So I could kind of see from their perspective why they'd be upset about it. And they did like the whole like Arnold Apollo like handshake thing when they basically were like screw this guy. They did that during the segment.
Xavier Woods
fun.
and Kofi
And Kofi, yeah, because they're
That's
basically
funny.
heels, I think, at this point. But I think they're going to do the Drew McIntyre, like, tell me when I'm telling lies kind of thing, because they were technically right, but I mean, you're obviously a heel. And like the way that they showed like, Big E and he's like they zoomed in on his face. He's like, so this is it, guys? Like, it looked so heartbreaking. Like, oh my God. Yeah, you gotta watch it. If anyone has been like kind of not paying attention because of the holidays and stuff, I feel like that is a segment that is like the top from the past 6 months for sure,
Check it out.
100%. So yeah, so the other thing I was talking about, with the New Day as a tag team, I mean, you also have to think about them, like you mentioned them as a trio and as a group, and I mean, as a brand, like just their identity. Like initially, obviously, they had a little bit of a start. It started like with this like Baptist preacher type group thing. Like they weren't really sure what they were, and then they slowly kept going into like the more absurd. Like they were just being themselves at that point. They said they never wanted like to be like pigeonholed as like a comedy tag team, but they just happen to be funny and just really good at what they're doing. And I mean, like, I feel like they really touched the chord of like a group of the audience that, like not many wrestlers really do that. Like they're avid streamers, fans of video games. They did a lot of like just pop culture references in their anime. Like no one has been like that, like hard on their sleeve, showing that kind of interest. I don't think there's been any group at that time, and very few now that have been doing that. Like that was a core part of their identity, and I think that's something that I identified with. I thought that was amazing. And like they rounded it out. They made a interesting, like, funny group. They had a trombone named Francesco, like Bootios. They had their own cereal. Like,
I had that cereal.
That was awesome. Like, how many tag teams like had an actual cereal? Like, come on, that's like top 10 right there.
Heart Foundation.
Top 10 worthy.
No, I'm making my list. I'm at number 8 right now. Hold on.
Oh, so you're just like coming up with the list while I'm talking?
They're also big fighting game fans too. And actually, when I went to Evo a year and a half ago at Vegas, I ran into Xavier Woods, and he actually was really cool. I talked to him for a few minutes actually.
Nice.
He competed in Tekken.
Yeah, I think when I went to E3, I think it was either 2018 or 2017. He was also recording stuff for, I think it was for Up Up Down Down. But he also like he had a showdown with Kenny Omega at E3.
Right.
I don't remember what it was for though.
Might have been Street Fighter.
Street Fighter 5.
Yeah, I think it was Street Fighter. Yeah, you're right. But like that's insane. Like that kind of stuff. Like how many wrestlers do that? Like I think there's more of them now. Because I feel like Xavier Woods was one of those first people that really took advantage of his like YouTube channel. I mean, Zack Ryder did too, but some like it's just a unique group, like, and they have the titles and belts to back it up. So I guess we already kind of talked about how their legacy stacks up against the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, or the Road Warriors. Let's see.
New Japan run imminent.
You think so?
No. That'd be cool though.
The CMLL run.
Well, they could do Pro Wrestling Noah.
They could do TNA probably. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some kind of like, handshake deals that you can go and do matches with. Um, let's see. So let's say if Big E actually returns to face Kofi and Xavier, do you think this is a catalyst for someone to break out of the group and actually have a solo run, or do you feel like it's all going to be like the New Day? Like it's not like you're going to have like someone going solo. What do you guys think? If you had to book this current feud, where do you think it would go?
I'd like to see Big E go on his own. They kind of tried it, but like when they did it, he was still like all New Day out. Like his music changed, but like the colors stood the same. Character kind of stood the same. He was the Intercontinental champ for a while.
Yep.
And then like there's like little teases like Paul Heyman would be like, "Oh, I think you could be as big as Roman Reigns," and all that stuff. And then eventually led to him getting the title. Like he had some good matches with Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
But I think he would just like be able to just go on his own. But the way it is now, maybe they just keep it faction and they just turn into like side characters.
Yeah.
Or they get a whole another belt run.
I got my list.
Okay, let's hear it. All right. Well, yeah. Let me go back to that question. So because we talked about how he's being the greatest tag team of all time.
I forgot Jarrett's show. Shit.
They're not. No. Get out of here. You know how many people Big Show got teamed up with? All right, so they're considered the greatest, or he thinks they're the greatest tag team of all time. So how do you feel like their legacy stacks up against teams like the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, or the Road Warriors? So who do you have?
I'm gonna go from number one to the last one. All right.
Okay.
All right. So number one, Hardys.
This is ranked. So this is like. This is not like. In no particular order. You're saying like number one. Like you're saying the Hardys are the greatest tag team of all time.
I would say for me, yeah, but I would say anything after that, maybe they could go up one or down one. But I would say for me, the Hardys are number one. That's one. Okay. And then Edge and Christian, FTR.
Oh no.
That's my list.
How many tag belts have they won?
They've won a lot, and they've won them outside of WWE.
Yeah.
Okay.
Briscoes. Dudleys.
Briscoes.
Come on. Dudleys. Young Bucks. Hart Foundation. Steiners.
Okay, they might be better than both of those.
Steiners. Road Warriors. British Bulldogs.
Better than the British Bulldogs.
Harlem Heat. And then New Day.
I don't think you've seen a single Harlem Heat tag team. I don't know where you got this. Same with the Bulldogs.
From one promo.
All you need is that one. That's like five slots worth alone. That's like 5 slots worth.
Here, you've never seen a single Harlem Heat tag match, and you just put them in your top 10.
I don't need to. You know who's in it.
Your entire
Booker T alone.
Here just because of that.
Booker T alone is worth that slot.
Yeah, we're talking about tag teams, not like, oh yeah, only one person was good and made him a star. That's
he's coming for the gold, sucker.
Okay, yeah, but one meme does not make a great tag team.
It does. We're talking about brand. We're talking about pro wrestling specifically. What is memorable? I would definitely say Booker T in Harlem Heat is memorable, man, because he's coming for you.
Regardless of who else was on Harlem Heat was a very decorative tag team.
Sure.
So who else was on the list? So I'll go again from 1 to essentially 12. I got. And
wait, so Harlem Heat was your last. So you're saying New Day wasn't even in that list?
New Day's number 12. Harlem Heat was 11.
You had to extend it so you didn't catch.
I didn't say. I said.
Like, all right, well, I'll throw an extra 2 in there, I guess. You put Harlem Heat above New Day, really?
Yeah,
And British
man.
Bulldogs.
The British
Yeah,
Oh
dude.
my god. Okay, I mean, I guess that's your opinion. But yeah, definitely not. I disagree for sure. Especially what I just said, like all their accolades. Two of them won like the WWE Championship. They won it like I said, they're the second most decorated tag team behind the Dudley Boys, and you're putting them at 12.
That's still high because like I bet you there's like a top 100 list somewhere, and I would say 12 is respectable.
Sure, I guess.
You gotta remember Chris's admiration for the English wrestling team.
Hey,
So, okay. I mean, okay. What does that color anyone
Aussie
else's
Open,
perception? Huh?
Aussie Open,
The Aussie Open.
yeah, Aussie.
Are you talking about the AEW show?
No, the two dudes.
Oh,
Was it Kyle
jeez.
Fletcher and Mullet Man? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think they're a top tag team of all
Shit,
time?
Lucha Bros. Put them up there. Damn.
Wait, you
Anywho.
didn't even have the New Age Outlaws on your list.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
New Age
yeah.
Outlaws. was
DX, I guess, if you want to. But I guess you were also saying that New Day's kind of a faction instead of a tag team. So I guess you would also apply that to like
Yeah.
Evolution and
Well,
DX.
Yep. I'm talking pure
It's
tech.
kind of hard. Well,
It is
DX
kind of
did
hard because like I
actually.
feel like you would put like DX and Evolution up there too. Like if you had to, you know, rank them.
Mm.
We need
Well,
a trio title in WWE.
Yep. I mean, that would solve the problem.
But okay, well,
New Day,
so
top trio ever.
yeah, so the David or Andres, does that list of Chris's make you change your mind about them being in the
Uh,
top?
no.
No.
No, there are some I will agree with. But like I said, when I was in my head, like off the top of my head, I would put New Day in the top 10. But I do think if I were to actually make my own list, they might just get nudged just outside of it, maybe. But like I said, just off the top of my head, no, they would be top 10 for sure.
Got it. I mean, so well, what do you think about? I guess where their where does their story go? Since they've been, in the WWE for over a decade, and obviously, I think this new feud is gonna push them towards a new horizon, or at least have them try something new. Where do you think they go from here? What do you think is gonna happen?
New Japan.
New Japan?
No.
Or the power of negativity, I think, with the help of Karrion Cross. I could see that instead of the power of positivity.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty fun. Because I mean, they were a heel tag team, so it's not like they are unknown to being a heel group. I think their second run was or the second tag team run as a heels, and that was like their longest reigning. It might be the second longest reign of all time because I think it was like 484, and that beat the
Usos
Road
had-
Warriors. Usos had it longer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
They
I mean, they
beat
beat the Road Warrior streak. Like that's
Oh, see, I would put
pretty
Usos
impressive.
over New Day.
Uh,
Uso?
Oh, the Usos are
Yeah,
bad.
I mean that's like another one that's like an actual tag team, and but they were also in that era. Like New Day and the Usos were basically like almost like an infinite like feud that they would always put together too.
Samoan Young Bucks.
Yeah,
Miz
Must
and
have
Miz and
classes.
Johnny Nitro. What were they called?
Exactly. That's how good they were.
exactly.
Yeah, the whatchamacallits.
The Who's?
It wasn't.
The
It
Who's
wasn't
and
Miz
What's
and
It?
Johnny Nitro. It was Johnny Nitro and Joey Mercury. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh yeah. But
Hey, he's even mixing them up.
didn't Miz come in with? Then he named himself John Morrison. Didn't they tag team? Or am I making that up?
Yeah, Mr. Morrison was a thing too.
Yeah, I guess it
Eminem.
was.
But
Eminem was
2.0.
Nitro.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eminem was
Yeah,
Mercury
Mercury
with
Nitro.
Melina. Yeah,
Yeah, there you go. There's a ruthless aggression tag team for you.
but I wouldn't put
Better
them
than
like.
the New Day.
They're not better than New Day.
Deuce and Domino, come on.
I think they survived like maybe 2007, and that was it. Like then they got like, you know,
just push the Outrunners. Let's
Pushed
have this
out.
conversation.
Outrunners.
yeah, that guy, is he supposed to be in his like 30s or whatever? He looks like Hogan's age. I mean, but that's kind of, I feel like that's kind of their gimmick, you know, like 80s
Aged.
wrestlers that look like yeah, he's like, actually I'm 25, but I look like I'm 56. That's a classic. But so anyway, going back to that question about like where I think the New Day is going, and then we can kind of wrap up and go into the role of surprise returns and debuts. But I don't think it will ever. And again, I might eat my own words, like as they're recording Raw or whatever. But I feel like a lot of their successes has always still tied them together. You know, like if you think about like Kofi Kingston's like WWE Championship match, there has never been, at least I don't think, like a storyline where you're in a faction with your like two other buddies, and they basically go in a gauntlet to win, so you can win the WWE Championship. Like they had that kind of like story, and this was like kind of when we kind of stopped watching, but I rewatched some of their stuff. I mean, that like just that kind of stuff. Think about them as a group, you know, like their whole focus is like just being a unit and an actual unit. Like in pro wrestling, it's all about being kind of like your own individual person, and even in tag teams when they do like those inevitable breakups. But New Day is one of those unique groups where they are like unified, and it's like a genuine, you know, genuine tag team, genuine group that care about each other. And that whole Kofi Mania story just kind of like exemplifies that, where his two best friends like win matches so he could get a title shot at WrestleMania. Like that's awesome. And then he beats Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania for the belt. He actually made a comment because he was also vegan, and he said it was funny because it was like basically like, you know, a belt that was like supposed to be like, you know, saving the planet or whatever, and they were like, oh yeah, you're vegan too, but then you were like basically like, get this stupid belt out of here, let's get the bigger carbon footprint belt. And they were jokingly calling it like the global warming championship or whatever, because Kofi was like, well, I'm vegan too, I actually like that belt, but they were like, you know, you got to get that belt. But I mean, I think his run, I mean, it didn't last that long either, right? I think it just went through the summer, and then
they fed him the
got killed by Lesnar in like 30 seconds.
On the debut of SmackDown on Fox.
Yeah. So it was that year in 2019. So I think it was like October, which sucks. I mean, I guess he had it from April. So what is that, like 5 or 6 months or whatever, which is still pretty decent. I mean, they used to, you know, throw that thing around like a hot potato during, you know, the Attitude Era. So he had a pretty decent run, but it just sucks for him and for Big E. I mean, and for Xavier, like he's never got it, and they only had it once. But not many people could also say that they held the belt. So 2 of them already held it. That's pretty awesome too. That's why I would also, you know, put them at the top, you know? And they did it as a group still. They didn't branch off. They still did it as the New Day.
I didn't realize this is Glaze the New Day episode.
Well, this is offer your opinion on the New Day, and that's my opinion on the New Day. You offered your uneducated take, and I'll offer mine.
That was pretty educated.